Well, hello, 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 and welcome to Night School. I am your host, Latanya Washington, and today I wanted to speak with you all in regards to the aftermath. We call this the aftermath of the 2020 election. People are stressed out, they are depressed, it is so much happening, and we need to have a discussion because we are living in a nation that is simply divided. And so let's talk about it tonight. All right, let's go. Let's do this. Well, I'm your host, Latanya Washington, and this evening we get to talk about the aftermath of the 2020 election, realizing how divided our nation is. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my truth. And I know many of you all, you're dealing with much. I was just reading an article just recently that they were saying, even after this, in the midst of it all, 1 out of 5 friendships were damaged. You have 40% of people who cannot sleep. Their sleep has been disrupted. Everyone is stressed out. And we're in a state now where it's really about what do we do about it? Now, what do we do? And so I just wanted to come in and I wanted to share a little bit of my heart because I know some of the things that I'm feeling. Many of you all are feeling the same way. And so, honestly, for me, for many of you, going into 2020, we already know we are dealing with a pandemic. We're dealing with so much drama. We're dealing with so many things that are happening. People are passing away. I was just speaking to a physician, and it's literally where at least what 5,000 they're saying people are coming down with the virus. They're looking at the hospitals are beginning to fill up again. People are in the ICU. Some of the surgeries that were scheduled, they are they will not be happening. They're postponing them because of the numbers that are beginning to rise. And as I begin to evaluate everything that is happening, and now with this election and the aftermath, you have a world, you have people that are one side for Trump, you have the other side that were for Biden. And now, honestly, I did not realize, and this is my truth, I didn't realize how divided we were as a nation. I knew that there was racism in our world, in our land, but 2020 opened up my eyes to a many of a thing, and the systemic racism that's happening, and all of the things that we've been plagued with. And then, honestly, to just simply see where we are and the division that has truly occurred. And it took me back, you all. It took me back to leadership. And it began to make me realize that when we are placed in a leadership role, we literally set the tone for our community. We set the tone for our society. We set the tone for our world. And when we operate in a manner in which it's divisive, it is angry, we're putting blame on so many people. And honestly, right now, I'm talking about Trump. I'm talking about Trump right now. And for the first time, I begin to ask myself, what is it? Well, we actually know the reason behind why so many people follow behind them. It's definitely about the economy. It's definitely been about the money. It's about control. It's about power. Um, I looked at the stock market. It just goes up and down. Everything is dependent upon all of this. And then you begin to think about, what about people? What about humanity? What about all of that? And now we as a nation are literally suffering for the first time ever. Well, I walk around and I'm looking over my shoulder. We think about our children, we think about our young people, and even the mindset of what they see, what will be ingrained in their minds and in their spirits, even as they come up along the way, even as they come along their journey. What is their true belief? And so it's amazing to me about everything that has occurred and what is yetly occurring in our nation. And now, because I deal so much with the human nature and how we treat one another, I began to even think back to that and ask myself, what do we do now? Because as we said, you have friendships that are damaged. You have people really don't like each other because of who they voted for. And so we're literally in a nation of turmoil. And I just begin to just ask myself, what do I do? What is it that I can do to ensure that what I say, who I say it to, all the things that are occurring, that I am putting my best foot forward, even as a leader. I looked at, and then I watched watched Biden and I watched Kamala. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Even on Saturday, as they gave their speech, even the tone that was set, it spoke about unity. It spoke about unification. And that tone alone shifted. And so we really don't realize how we set an atmosphere for people, when how we speak and what we say in our gestures and everything that we put out to the world. And so in that, you all, I really want to admonish each and every one of us. I always said, for the past year, for me, I literally sat still and just hearing and trying to pay attention on my next role. What am I supposed to do next? And my hope and my prayer is that you all are doing the same thing. The people that you come in contact with, how are you presenting the situation? And so we have to now become very, very intentional on how we react, on what we do, on what we say. Because honestly, I did not realize how much of an impact leadership plays in the role of so many people. I thought back to Jim Jones, and when all the people followed him and drank the Kool-Aid. And I said, is it that easy for us as a people to just simply follow anyone and follow anything just because of the loudness of their voice and the projection? Does it then take away our morals and our values just over the power and the mighty dollar? And we cannot live like that, you all. We have so much now that we have to deal with. We're dealing with this pandemic. We're dealing with children that are in school, and I'm hearing now they're about to come back home. You have some children that are in school. All the schools are about to shut down. You have different states that are divided. You got some states that are opening up. You got some states that say wear a mask. You got other governors that say don't. And so when do we get to the point, you guys, where we come together? A friend of mine was sharing with me, it said it's amazing when it comes to the Olympics, how we as a nation, we come together for the Olympics. But when it comes to Republicans, when it comes to the Democrats, when it comes to the fight, we are one of the most divided. And then two, I can't, I gotta say this, even when it comes to the Christendom, to our spirituality, and honestly, to hear quote unquote prophets say that Trump is going to win and that we praying for his victory, and all of this stuff. And you, another thing is having people confused because I literally had to sit back and I thank God for Sherman Dumas because he broke it down completely. God doesn't care about the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. He cares about people. And so when you think about that, it puts it into perspective and you begin to sit back and say, it's amazing how the heart of an individual or what we want can literally take over what is to happen. And so I thought about this and I said, we have to, you all, being very careful about what comes out of our mouths and how we react. And it literally feels like, we've dealt with 9/11, we've dealt with so much. And it's amazing to me about we now have to call this the aftermath of the 2020 election. I've never seen this before. I still remember 2016 when Trump ran against Hillary. Many of us were sad. They said picking the worst of two evils. That's what I heard. You got a lot of people that did not vote. And it was that. But guess what? It was what it was, and we just went on. And my hope is that the same thing happens. I know it is the beginning of it all. We are dealing with all of this madness, but my hope is that we begin to sit back and we begin to evaluate the life is so much more important than this. It is so much more important than who wins an election. And you got people sitting on the Senate and you got people sitting on the House of Representatives. And honestly, it stressed us all. I'm preaching to the choir. I was stressed out every few minutes. We couldn't get anything done because we were watching the election until you finally had to say stop. um and we have to now get to that place then and say, what am I supposed to do as a person? What am I supposed to touch? Who am I supposed to touch? How am I supposed to lead? What am I supposed to do? Because I know that my voice makes a difference. And your voice makes a difference, whether you will bring people together and unify one another, or you will begin to consistently tear people apart. I have to give it up to Abrams out of Georgia. I mean, you talking about grassroots. She brought Georgia people together. But understand this, and this is something that we always have to remember. She didn't just start getting people in order to make sure people were registered to vote and all these things. It started a long time ago. And it makes you realize that the work that we do when we're looking to make a difference, you always got to think about what is my outcome in the future. And you got to begin to work on that. And so I just wanted to jump in and just say finally to each and every one of you, because I did not want to be on here long. I just felt that it was necessary that we talk about it to a degree and then say, all right, enough is enough. It's time for me to buckle up, do what I have to do as an individual, and make things happen within my community, within my world, within my society, and bring the change, because I'm a change maker. You're a change maker. And we now have the opportunity to bring people together and to bring unity. Because one thing that I know for sure is that God is not a God of confusion. He is not part of chaos. And therefore, that's something that I do not want to be a part of. And so I just wanted to jump in and just admonish each and every one of you. We can make it. We can make it through. If you have friendships that, were severed over this, go back and have a conversation, talk about it, because It's not worth it. Um, get some rest now. Let's release the stress and the depression and all of this stuff, because honestly, you all, we got a bigger thing to fight. We have the COVID-19. Some people call it the corona, some people call it Cora, the pandemic, the plague, whatever you call it. That's what we have to fight now. And we have to fight it together. We have to come together because honestly, we need one another. God bless. You all take care of yourselves. Love you much. Talk to you soon.